Oh, I think we might have just perfectly hit the post there, John, from the old radio days. Love it. Thanks everybody for joining us today. It's precisely 11 o'clock. Just so everyone knows, if anyone needs to kind of bounce a little early from this particular meeting, we're recording the session, so we will be posting that up on our social media kind of later, kind of after the meeting is concluded. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. We're going to, we like to kind of do these monthly kind of updates with people, just kind of get the word out there. Maybe new clients, existing clients, share new features, new releases, and these types of things. So thanks again for joining us. Today we're going to be covering a couple of key features of the site, which is search, filtering, and then also similarity search. Then we're going to kind of follow that up with a couple new releases from Ivan and John. We have a wealth of information on the website about how to use the site. These are just kind of a little bit more personal, where we can kind of go through. It's kind of a show me, let me do kind of thing. You can watch me as I kind of operate the site as we navigate through, and then we have certain intervals for Q&A, things like this. Just really quickly, just would like to make sure that everybody drops any of the questions into the Q&A. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of track and make sure that we address each one of those questions point by point. Of course, we'll be trying to do our best to monitor the chat as well, but the Q&A definitely is where you want to kind of pose any other questions. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our marketing manager, Naomi Hernandez.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'd like to kick it off by launching a poll. Wanting to know, how do you guys search? What do you use more on our website? Is it collections, moods, genres, or our new releases page? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to fill that out.
Coming in fast and hot.
Yeah. They are. I really thought that new releases was going to be it, but you guys are telling me moods. That's awesome. Great. I'll end it and I'll share the results. So moods is in by 42%. That's really cool to know. Great. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that information with us. We always strive to kind of make the site better, kind of more, I guess, cater to your needs as clients. We want to make this, we understand it's a vast catalog. Try to make this stuff as easy for you to search and kind of get a hold of as possible. So we'll go ahead and jump right into my section of we'll start talking about some search, right? So everybody's well familiar with the functions of the UPM site, at least the main homepage here. One of the things very important, always double check, make sure you're logged in. This is a not logged in state, so if I needed to be logged in, I'm going to log in here for my entering my user account. Searches, of course, are free. To get to kind of make sure that you're getting the content that's associated with your account proper, make sure that you can do things like add things to playlists and all that stuff is really kind of you really want to make sure you're logged in to get that best experience. So with that said, we'll kind of come in here. Our main search bar is kind of the bread and butter. We find that the vast majority of users are using the main search bar. We're all kind of used to using this search bar in pretty much everything, whether it's your mobile phone or whether it's the website or whether it's just doing a simple Google search. There's a lot of power in searching with just a kind of free-form text search. Start firing in different topics, or excuse me, firing different words, and then getting search results. So we try to mirror that kind of behavior that we're all kind of used to in our everyday lives with the site here. So with that, I'll go ahead and fire in a search term. My favorite search term to search is jazz. One of the reasons is it's really easy to spell, but the other thing is everyone fires in rock, right? So I like firing in jazz. I also like the genre quite a bit. So without doing anything but typing in the search term jazz, you'll notice what we call this the awesome search bar, or ASB for short. The awesome search bar will suggest certain terms for you. The idea is because there's so much content, there's so much catalog, we want to try to help guide your searches as well as good as possible. We don't know, the likes of John and Ivan are professionals at searching and finding music. They understand how to talk about music, how to explain music. A more lay person like myself might have a little bit more difficult time, kind of figuring out the difference between, hot club jazz versus regular jazz. I just want to be able to search in the term jazz. So that's one of the reasons for the awesome search bar. Now, there's a couple ways I can operate. What I want to do is kind of go over what I'm seeing here. At first, the first column is tags. It's only showing me 25 tags, but what these tags are any tags in our catalog, any genre tags that in our catalog that have to relate to the term jazz. So these will either have jazz in the title, or they'll be a subgenre of the term jazz. It works for any other genre that you see here, but that's what these tags are. That means that the tags that I would search as a result would have these tags attached to them. The second column here is just track titles. Any track title with the term jazz in the title. We spend lots of time naming tracks so that they make sense. You're not going to find, the likes of a Led Zeppelin track where there's the lyric is nary mentioned, but that's the title of the track. We like to make sure that everything is on the nose. So if you're looking for track titles, you're looking for this track, for instance, is biblical jazz. I would assume that there's something about that track that would be in the jazz genre. Also, to album titles. Again, our album titles, we tend to try to be as creative as we can, obviously, but they're definitely going to be on the nose. It's Stockholm Jazz Sessions. It's very, very clear about what that is. Again, that is being found by me typing in this jazz search term here. And then under theme playlists too, I've got theme playlists. I got my genres. These are hand curated by John, Ivan, and the rest of our music search team. These are tracks that they feel are important, that fit into these themed playlists, that also, so many people kind of came back and said, they're looking at collections. Well, those collections themselves, those are hand curated. Those are themed playlists. So these are an attempt to help put a kind of a human touch to the vast amount of catalog that you might find. Now, they might be trending for any reason, but that's what this is. And again, the term jazz is pulling that up because that exists in the theme playlist track title. We see this 25 plus. That means that there's far more than can actually just be displayed in this page. So if I were to click the 25 plus, it would give me all of those albums. It would basically give me the whole root of, give me the entire search results for the albums that match the term jazz in the album title. So after all that, I decide that I don't want to maybe search a tag. Again, I can navigate very quickly to any one of these tracks by simply clicking on them, or I can just hit the return key on my keyboard. So I'll go ahead and hit the return key on my keyboard. So for that keyword search jazz, I can see that I've got 12,581 tracks that kind of match in some way my search query for jazz. That's great, but that's a lot of tracks I have to listen to. I want to try to get to what I need to quickly. So here on the left-hand side, I'll see my filter. So I can filter by things like length. I can filter by things like BPM. If I know I want something that's a particular BPM to potentially match an edit, or I know that I have a temp track in that's of a certain BPM, I can kind of help narrow down those searches there. I can also filter and only search tracks with stems. If for whatever reason I know that a client is going to want to find, have tracks that only have stems, I can include those here. I can include a search filter here because I know that particular client, or I know that the project I'm working on, they're going to want to be able to tweak the music works in some way. So I can actually filter that down. I can know ahead of time that I'm going to have the stems and have what I need. And then we get to really kind of the meat and the bones, and really where our taxonomy really it kind of helps with these searches. We have things like version type, vocal lead. If I'm looking for something with or without, so this is a very often overlooked thing. I can search for things that have a vocal lead, or on any of these filters, I can do a subtractive search. If I know, maybe I don't know what instrument or what type of version I need, but I know that I don't want anything with vocals. I can very quickly remove vocal lead, and that will not give me any lead vocal tracks. Likewise, I have things like edit, so I can look for full length. If I know that I'm just looking for a 60, I can just find the 60. And then instrument. This is where we really start getting into delving really into seeing the true power of how we tag our tracks and how we classify these things. Keyboard. Keyboard is quite large, but if I click on this, I can see all the subcategories of keyboard. I can see piano, synthesizer, electric piano, all the way down the list. I can either choose to just filter by anything that's a keyboard if I'm not quite sure what the instrument is I'm hearing, but it sounds like some kind of keyboard instrument. Or if I want to get more detailed, then I'll only find stuff with just piano, that's jazz. Or if I'm like, you know what, I know I want a jazz track, but I want it without piano. Again, I can do that subtractive search. It shows up in what's called a pillbox up here. I can remove those, and then I can add any number of those search filters to the search, and I can basically, if I start to get to a point where I'm starting to filter too much, some people, if I start to filter too much and I've only got 10 tracks, I can start reducing the search. But this gives me a very clear history of what I've searched for up to and until then. Then I can click the clear all button, and as you can see, that all goes away. Let me click here. I think one of the important things to note here is moods. We have our moods filter here. Everyone, it seemed that moods was Naomi. Some of our poll answers, most people are searching for moods. So this will be very, very important. If there's something that you're not finding in a particular moods playlist under Discover, you can actually go through and find musical fill here: jazzy, cool, funky, sophisticated, sophisticated jazz. That's actually something that really strikes me. If I'm looking for a particular type of music and I know that it's I want it to be sophisticated. Now I have this. This is right at my fingertips, a very quick and easy way to filter that list of 12,000 down to 1,000. Still a lot of tracks, but just so everyone's clear. Also, too, you can do things like toggle. For instance, if I were to look at the tags here, I could actually see what things. For instance, if I like this track closing time, I could actually see it here. I say, oh, sophisticated. How else is this thing tagged? Oh, cool jazz. Maybe I want to explore that. So I could actually go ahead and add that to my filter search as well, and then maybe remove sophisticated. And now I'm looking at cool jazz to find tracks that are similar to closing time. So just some real quick tips on kind of how to get that done, how to kind of really effectively use the site and the filters to kind of help narrow down the search terms a little bit more. Kind of moving on from that, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is this little icon here. I think if you're kind of an experienced user of the UPM site, or you may know this, and if you're new, you may not know this. This is Similarity Search. Similarity Search is an advanced AI algorithm that goes and searches. It actually listens to each piece of music in the catalog and then creates relationships between every other track. So as new stuff is added, new associations are met, and as people start to use and find tracks or take an action, add it to a playlist as that, or download that track then gets promoted in the internal search algorithm that then helps say, oh, this track is more relevant for this thing that this person was looking for. And then if something isn't, it starts punishing itself, and it starts ranking those things. So it's a really awesome and very cutting and leading edge way to kind of search that music. So let's do a similarity search very quickly. So if I want to look at this this 𝗲𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗁 track, one key thing here: you have to be logged in. You have to have a user account, and you have to be logged in to use this functionality. So again, registration is very easy if you don't already have an account. If you do have an account and you're not logged in and wondering why you're not seeing that particular icon, well, that's why. Just make sure you're logged in, and that function and feature becomes available. So let's take a listen to this 𝗲𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗁 track here. Lots of drums. Okay. Obviously a very 𝗲𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗁 track. If I hit the similarity search, let's say that I really like that search, and I'm not interested potentially in kind of doing a more broad jazz search, I don't really care about, doing any of this kind of stuff. I can actually just come in here and I can see that, okay, some of the first suggestions that it's referenced are stuff off the same album. Well, that makes sense, right? Because if I'm producing an album like this, listen to this. It's very similar. It's very similar. Let's take a listen to this one. Very similar. Rumba rhythm. As you can see, it's a very, very cool system. I will make a promise. Everyone on this email has my LinkedIn and my email address. Similarity search, as my solemn vow, will never make you angry. You will never be upset with the results you get. And in fact, it'll always make you happy. It may never be the perfect thing. It may not be the perfect thing in some cases, but it will never make you mad. You will never be angry with the results that it gives back to you. One other really cool cutting edge function and feature is that you can upload an audio file and you can enter a URL from YouTube. So it'll actually go through and scan. So let's take that as an example really quickly. I'll go ahead and let me go ahead and paste this link in here. Perfect. Sorry about that. And then you can select a time, because we all know YouTube videos are long. Maybe you're just looking for a particular time, whether or not it's just a music track or whatever. You can actually highlight a time place that you want to search for. So let me go ahead and search, and I'll go ahead, just so we're all kind of clear. I'll go ahead and give us the example track here. It's a Marcus Miller track. It's Marcus Miller, so we're all going to know. Well, maybe we aren't all going to know, but it will be a jazzy bass thing. Cool. Sounds like a great track, right? I want to use something like that. So let me go ahead and take a listen to this. Now, similarity search, you saw I didn't do anything. I played the track. Similarity search went, found that first 30 seconds. Let's listen to the first result. Definitely funky, definitely has a very prominent bass line. There's vocals in this one, but again, I can filter those down and find an instrumental only version. Definitely meeting that kind of tone and timbre of that particular track. It seems to be cueing on the slap bass. Definitely driving bass line. The point is that as we kind of go through, I can now take these tracks, add them through, and then in fact, I can add them to a playlist, and it helps kind of round out my search a little bit better. So again, I would encourage everybody to use search filtering, and please use the similarity search tool. It's a really, really amazing piece of technology that I think everybody here at UPM is really, really proud of.
Thank you, Damien. And again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out personally to Damien or post a question in our Q&A. And now, time for a little music trivia. So let me switch it. Oh, I don't see our question number 2.
Oh, no question number 2. Okay, well, that's not great.
Well, I had a really good question. Maybe you guys can post your answer in the chat. So which NFL team shares the same name as a UPM track? Is it the New England Patriots, the Dallas Cowboys, or the LA Chargers? I'll ask that question again. Which NFL team shares the same name as a UPM track? New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, or the LA Chargers? I see I have some LA fans in the crowd.
Yeah, Chargers fans. SoFi Stadium, what's up? Shout out.
Nice. Unfortunately, no. The correct answer is the Heartbreak Dallas Cowboys.
Thanks for that, Naomi. So I want to go ahead and introduce Ivan Peck. He's our music director based out of LA. And Ivan, go ahead and take it away. He wants to share some of the great music with you. Oh, you're muted, bud.
Hello there, everyone. Let me get my screen going here and make sure that you all can hear some high quality sound. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, I'll take it as yes. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Excuse my slight lethargic state. I'm recovering from the COVID booster I got yesterday, but I'm excited to share one of the new albums from one of our flagship labels here, 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗴. I'm sure if any of you have been around Killer Tracks or UPM for a while now, you will be familiar with 𝗬𝗵𝗿𝗁. This album in particular was produced by our own VP of Repertoire, 𝗖𝗿𝗲𝗁. And this is part of a UMG initiative to add a lot more lullaby music, as it seems to be very popular. So you'll see here that I'm on the album view page. This is different than my search bar page, but as Damien mentioned earlier, if you were to type in softly, softly or lullaby, it should show up underneath there. And as part of the initiative, you'll see over here to the left on the related albums that some of our overseas and affiliate labels such as Coca and Sketch have very recently put out lullaby albums as well. I think these might even be from this month or from last month. So on top of this, we should be putting out more of this content going forward. And I'm going to play you through a few tracks here. So we'll start off with the lead track. And we'll start it from the beginning. So as you can hear, this is kind of your standard cliche, I guess, what you would expect of lullaby, a little bit of harp, a little bit of nice piano. And then as you see here in the waveform, it'll build up with some pretty subtle percussion. So if I skip forward a little bit here, you'll hear it builds a little bit. And you'll see here at the top, it says no drum versions are the most relaxing. So if you click on the track title, which is true for any track on the website, you'll see all the alternate versions as well as your publishing information if you need it. And then your stems here to the right, if you should require that. So here you'll see we have a couple alternate mixes. So if you like everything else, but you just don't like the violin, you can go no violin. And then as mentioned at the top, as I believe most of these mixes have, we should have another one also with no percussion. And you'll see that we have various cut downs of each, so make sure you're always looking at the full length. All right, I'm going to move on to track 3 here. This one's a little different. It's a little more up-tempo and I guess a little less lullaby, but obviously still in the same realm. And then if we skip forward a little bit, we'll see that the track builds even more than the previous one. The nice thing about a track like this is, although it certainly has a lullaby element to it, some parts of it could work for other things as maybe just a informational background piece, or something with just a, you know, like a charity video or sort of a cute local news story, versus being a track that's only going to work for babies or whatever the first track sounded more like. And with that being said, I'm going to move down to this next track, which I think has an even more applicable approach to things other than lullabies. I think this piece, almost especially towards the intro, could work for maybe a minimal kind of drama or sentimental cut.
Hey, Ivan, I've got a question here. What do you find the most common use for lullaby albums? This is from Samantha.
Well, you know, I would say that they certainly still fall under the niche category. So typically when people are asking for lullaby music, it is for something that you would just expect, right? Like cute dogs or kittens, or maybe some sort of heartwarming charity video, or obviously something to do with kids or sleeping, or maybe sometimes like a meditation app, or whatever possibly could, you know, require a little more ambient or subdued, subtle piece of music that isn't really too happy and really isn't too melancholy either. I think this track would work well for something that needs a bit more of a neutral piece of music behind it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ivan.
Of course. And then I just want to mention here as well, you'll see that, of course, if we open the track title by clicking the track title up here, we do have underscore mixes as well. And so, as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for something even more ambient, maybe something even less in your face, this is something that could work even more subtly. And then, of course, we have no percussion as well. So that's really it for me. And without the risk of putting everyone to sleep already, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Ivan. It's the perfect soundtrack for resting my tired head. I'm gonna get my banky and curl up later. It's gonna be nice. Thanks for that. Let me go ahead and introduce. A lot of people in the chat seem to already know a very famous John Lentz, and he's our senior music director out of Texas.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be. I will pull mine over and see if I can share my screen with you guys. Just a second here, share screen and share sound. Damien, optimized for video clip, is that right?
No,
or
it's
stereo?
The audio. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I presume everyone can see that now. Let's see if we can take that down. Okay, the album I'll be presenting today is from Gotham Music, GM 246, Rock That Works. Gotham Music has been a label we've represented now since late 1997. It's headed up by Manny Callens, who is an expert and longtime veteran in our industry. This particular album is really right in something that Manny does best. Rock music that's popular. It's very friendly, but it's geared exactly for video and audio production. This album is great for indie rock, pop rock. It's got flavors of anthemic rock, classic rock, acoustic. There's a punk tune in there, a hip hop rock song, and of course, indie alternative. So let's start with this first one, Skyscraper Fantastic. And as you can hear, it has a very anthemic sort of sound to it. Great for sports, motivational. Every track in here is extremely motivational. One thing Manny does, and he's been doing this for a long time, is he includes a lot of different versions and edits. Like in this case, you're going to get the 60-30-15, no background vocals, and he does different things with the guitars, bass, drums. Has them in there, doesn't have them in there. You hear this one's just a little bit lighter. the same thing with no drums. Okay, this next one is a little bit lighter. This would work great as an underscore for lots of different types of ads. It's positive, motivating. It's not over the top. Light voicing in there gives it a nice touch. And of course, if you don't want that, we have an instrumental one here with no vocals. Less guitar motifs, no drums, same sort of thing there. Go down here to Tomorrow Is Now. Here's an acoustic one. And this is a great example of what we call acoustic underscores that are tailor-made for ads. Great support music, provides an excellent bed, never gets in the way of the voiceover. And even if you think, it might be a little too much, again, Manny's provided us different versions that'll back it down a bit.
We got a great question over the chat, John.
Yeah.
Chip asked, what are stems?
Stems are basically all of the elements of the recording broken down into different pieces. For instance, your lead guitar will be one track. Your keyboards will be another. The bass drum and percussion will be grouped into another one. So when you download the stems and you have them, you can custom make your own track out of this with the individual pieces of the track. There are a lot of editors out there that love a particular track, but they're like, I don't want this in it, or I want more of this or that. With the stem mixes, you can customize it to however you want it to be.
Yeah, thank you for that, John.
No problem. Number 6 here, Baptize This Moment. A little more anthemic. And especially these anthemic ones, they work fantastic for sports promos or sports presentations, highlight films. Some of these even work well in a corporate vein where you're trying to motivate your workers, your crowd. Recruiting, it's great for recruiting ads. Youth television, these sort of types of tracks work very well. Basically has a motivating message through music. And especially on these more anthemic tracks, these special versions that have the no guitar, no vocals, and work very well. Okay, here's one with a hip hop feel to it. Got the solid rock backing there with a hip hop feel. This is great if you really want to reach a wide audience with this, with the popularity of hip hop these days. And the combination of rock is good for a lot of presentations. And we'll do one more here. Monsters Everywhere. I think Daly and Manny had a few espressos before they wrote this.
So awesome, John. Thank you so much for sharing that, man.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thanks for sharing your insight too.
And let me stop sharing the screen here. Okay.
Perfect. I wanted just to remind everybody that again, thanks everybody again for joining. We do these monthly. We have this recording, in case you came in late or whatever else, is available online. Will be available online after we've kind of closed this session. And then any other questions you have, please feel free to reach out. Reach us via the site, via the chat. One of us will get the message, or even it'll be even kind of spread out to the larger team. So really appreciate it. I think Naomi, you have one more poll.
I do, yes. Really, it was for everybody who's attending today. It's what topic would you like to learn more about next time? Is it extension for Adobe and our Final Cut Pro? Really creating, managing, and sharing your projects, or just really just how to manage your profile? I'll give it a second for these answers to come in. And fantastic. It looks like extension for learning about our extension for Adobe and Final Cut Pro is in the lead.
Great. I think I know what next month's topic is.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Again, thanks again for coming. If anybody has any questions that weren't answered or would like any more detail, again, please feel free to reach out to us. I want to thank you all for joining, and the recording will be up later this week. Thanks. Bye. Thanks again, John. Thanks, Ivan. Thanks, Naomi.